Hello there everyone, so patch 6.2 is up and the items are new and what am I going to do? I'm going to pick on this Gorbat campaign and I'm going to try out a little bit of fusing the items to see what best how it works and if I can give you some tips as well. And note, of course, this is on legendary, but it's not on Iron Man, so I can reload, so there's no problem. Even I would be able to reload even in these circumstances just by changing this, because there's no battles involved. That's war and turn. So you can see that the items are new, so they have some small differences, like the spell resistance extras here in the scroll of leeching, etc. So let's fuse the two items and see what we get. We get the lucky shrunken head. That's nice. Ward save 10%. It's not exactly what I would want from an arcane item, but still, that's not bad. Maybe it fits some builds. So of course we're going to be fusing and fusing and fusing and searching for that super fusion. Of course we're going to get some bad results, like you know, but yeah, let's check it out. So first let's start with armor. So overall what I say is, on the left I fused those two items and I got that one. So I fused the Shield of Tolos and the Spell Shields to get a Helm of Discord, which is better overall, and then two of Helm of Discords turned into Armor of Destiny. Now, even though the Armor of Destiny is better, is it worth it to spend for the Helm of Discords? We do not know, you know? And then we have the Glittering Scales and Engineer's Knapsack. I just turned it into an Armor of Gork. That's nice. It is clearly better, okay, than the ones that I had. Not by much, really. But then spending 2 to get yet another Armor of Destiny. And you're going to see a little bit of a trend. I'm almost always going to get the same rare items. Because, of course, they're kind of rare. So this gives it a little bit of a prediction. But it's always also worth noting that it may have to do with the fact that I'm already playing this campaign for a while, and this is the sort of items that the game is giving me. Such as, for instance, I turn Dragon Helm and Charmed Shield into Gambler's Armor. It's good, it's better. And then some Armor Fortunes and Armor Silversteer and Helm of Discord, they all turned into the Trickster's Helm. And it seems that I either get one or another, the Trickster's Helm or that other Armor of Destiny, you know? So that's sort of the idea here. There's few rare items, so you can kind of predict sometimes what you're gonna get. In terms of weapons, it's one of the best in terms of weapons, it seems, at least for the greenskins, because overall the weapons are always very useful. So it's not the ones that I would prioritize fusing. So for instance, Tormentor Sword is still very good, and you get the Obsidian Blade and the Executioner's axe there, or the sword, which is great with Executioner ability. We also have the Battle Axe of the Last Walk. So it's good. There's a distinct place for the common, the uncommon, the rare weapon. I like how they did it. And the results of the fusion, it does seem good here. So weapons, definitely you should fuse whenever available, but it doesn't mean that you shouldn't count on that idea of maybe having 2 Ogre Blades is better than having 2 Battle Axes of the Last Walk, you know? So you gotta count it a little bit on that, okay? Because it's always 2 for 1. Of course, if you're searching for the best, I would say to fuse items. I'll give those conclusions later on. But over here you can see that I've used Fez's Blade and Bash's Axe, Slutty Smashing, and I got the other axe specific for the greenskins. Note, of course, this is going to change all with the faction, but I'll refer to that later. Talismans. This starts to change a little bit, because the only rare item that I get is a Talisman of Preservation with a ward save of 18%, which is nice. It's better than the other ones. It doesn't mean that you can't go with the other ones, but Talismans, it's kind of good to go and fuse to get the rare Talisman, because it's kind of better. The only change that I would do, the only alternative here, is actually the Opal Amulet. It's an active ability that gives that 20% ward save for a few seconds, and really during a battle you don't really need ward save for more than that sometimes. So having 4 Opal Amulets versus 1 Talisman of Preservation, definitely better, I would say. And Seed of Rebirth here, for instance, it's the one that gives heal, so it's the one that I would keep. That's the one that I would keep because it's always nice to have some regen, okay? Especially in armies like the greenskins that typically do not get. So that is one item that I would keep. Let's move on to enchanted items. These were the results that I got. So for 2 potions of Farsight converted into Crown of Command, which is awful. So in the enchanted items, it's like Crown of Command, they change it to be even more leadership aura and the unbreakable, but it's not better than the other ones, I would say. I'm at least not exactly. But you do get very many potions of healing, which is nice, and it now has the battle healing cap as well. I would say that the potion of toughness, which is a common enchanted item, it's still quite good compared to the other ones. And in terms of rare enchanted items, it's not like you have a lot of them. So in the enchanted items and later on in the arcane items, that's where I'm going to tell you to be very careful when upgrading and be very noticeable what you get when you upgrade. Because for instance, I only ever got Book of Assure as a rare arcane item. That's all that I got. And sure, is a nice one with the targeting range and Winds of Magic Power Reserve plus 20. That's good. But sometimes you want those scrolls of shielding, 20 ward save for a unit to save it up. Or the Trickster Shot, which is nice. It gives a lot of flexibility versus, enemy casters. So you gotta be careful with the arcane items because, for instance, all those channeling staff, I sometimes will prefer that, to have one guy that actually does a lot of spells very quickly, or even that Scroll of Power, which gives, spell intensity, which is always nice. So, or that Forbidden Rod. So in terms of conclusions, I'll say it in the later on, but the arcane items and the enchanted items, it's not clear whether I should. So this is the outcome later, all blues that I got, okay? And what I want to test now is to see how it goes for the legendary. I want you to feel how it goes for the legendary. And by the way, the other Trickster Shot has that nice ability. It changed so much now. And the Skull Wand of Kaloth, hold on, has this discouraged. Okay, so in terms of the enchanted items, it's weird that the common to the uncommon items, you can get the Crown of Commands, it's sucks. But you can also get the potions of healing, which is nice, but then you also have that option of getting a very good rare item. So I think overall they balanced it really well, so that some specific ones, fan favorites, are still good. And they still give you, these Armor of Destinies, these Trickster Helms. So definitely I'm going to have some fun with this itemization. What I'm going to do now is try to fuse to see how it works to get the legendary item. And it feels like a 5-to-1 ratio. So you can see that I'm spending 10 items. That's already 12 items. Or sorry, 10 items now. And then on the 12th item, I'm going to get the Wormslayer Sword. Now, is it worth it to waste, think about it, 12 of those items? So only if you have like those maybe Book of Assure, maybe some specific rare items that you don't want, that you start doing this. And it's strictly on a ratio of 5-to-1. So you need to spend 10 items, fuse 10 items to get 1 item of the other ones. So actually a ratio of 10-to-1. So as you can see there, all those scrap, it counts like 2. So yeah, but you do get the some good items here. In case you're wondering, for instance, we do get the Books of Corn this way, which is nice. It's a new mechanic, basically, as well, with the Books of Corn. And it may be worthwhile to just try to get the first one this way, because it helps you to get later on the other ones. But still, consider this, like for instance, this is physical resistance and it gives a lot of stock and stuff, but you gotta be careful because it's not like the legendary items are much better than the rare items. Like, I definitely don't think they are worth spending 10 of good rare items, and that's the problem. There's no clear scrap items anymore, so all items are kind of like good when they're rare. And it's going to be very difficult for you to actually try and do that. It does give you some nice salvage. I think the salvage value, it's high, it's like 1,000, but it could be better even. But overall, it's one of those situations that I don't know if it's good or not, only if you're getting rare items that you really don't use. Now, a disclaimer while I was doing this and while I'll go over the items here. This is me with the greenskins. This is already at turn 120. I've been going slow, which means that I likely am getting items that fit the playstyle. And this is something that they stated, like that you're going to get items that are based on what you've been doing in your campaign as well. And it does seem to be doing that because it's giving me almost always the same items. But that's also good because it means that you have, when you're fusing items, you have that chance of, you know, always getting the item that you kind of want, which is cool. It's cool. One test that I did is this one, which is that I removed every single item to see if it would change the ideas. But as you can see, no. I only got Talisman of the Preservation there and only got Book of Assure there. So if they can add some more rare items, that would be nice. It does feel like there's too few, and then it can easily go into, oh, only giving you this one. Okay, which may also be in your favor. So it's one of those mechanics now that I'm still unconclusive about whether it's for the best or for the worst, because it may be locked into a certain playstyle. Now, conclusions. Definitely tries to give you items that you use. That's for sure. Okay, does not seem to matter whether you have the items equipped or not. Perhaps it records what you've been using. Yes, it definitely has to do. Most common items are better off being upgraded. That's kind of like a sure thing, except for instance maybe Potion of Toughness, Opal Amulet. They're still powerful. Tormentor Sword is still powerful. Note of course that items change according to your faction and what items you have been using. So of course that's what I've been talking about, like I'm just fusing and testing and seeing what happens, but this may have already been influenced by the fact that, you know, I'm playing greenskins, they have fewer items or they have different items, and that changes things a little bit. Okay, in terms of armor, rare seems better overall. Weapons have a very good balance. I would say it's the ones that I would be fusing the least. Okay, because they're generally good even if they're common or uncommon. Talisman's rare seems better overall, and for the enchanted and arcane items, sometimes the abilities are far better than risking the fusion. So be very careful, try to note what you're getting from the fusion and then remember that. Okay guys, I hope this helps for you to check out fusion and to do it better in your campaigns and to have some nice builds. And thank you very much for watching. I'll see you guys on the next episode. Bye bye.